Shalom, everybody. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. I just got hit with a question, or better yet, a suggestion. Since I said the whole Bible is fulfilled, how about I show when the mark of the beast occurred inside of scriptures? So of course I'm ready to show that. I'm ready to show that the Bible has been completed, including Revelation, and I'm ready to show what the mark of the beast actually was. So let's go through that, and I'm going to use the Bible. But first thing first, what's to know is the history of Revelation, because a lot of people they just don't understand the history behind Revelation, how the book was created. So I'm just going to give you just a quick synopsis of it real fast. The book of Revelation was created, and the older church fathers who helped compile the book, they did not want to include the book of Revelation in it because they said that it was pretty much plagiarized. In other words, they found over 400 or something instances that referred back to the Torah in the book of Revelation. So they said, well, this don't seem like an inspired book to me. This more seemed like that somebody had an ideal, and they put all the prophecies and different symbolisms from the Torah and the Tanakh inside of one book and called it a revealing. But that's exactly what it is, because all of those prophecies in the Torah and the Tanakh was actually about the events that led up to Revelation. That's why Revelation was able to pull from all of those different sources, because all of those different sources led up to the book of Revelation. So now let's go through, they're just to give you the backstory of the book of Revelation, that they did not want the book of Revelation in it in the first place. But let's actually go through it. So, book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 1. And I'm going to go through it, and then I'm going to break it down. So now, 13 and 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea. Before I even read 13 and 1, though, let's go to Revelation 1 and 1. The revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass, and he sent and signified it by his angels unto his servant John, who bear records of the word of God and of the testimony of Jesus Christ, and of all things which he saw. Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. So John the Revelator said two important things. One thing was, this was a revelation of Jesus Christ, which means that this revelation, this unveiling of Jesus Christ, has to do with Christ. It don't have to do with anybody else except Christ. So once you take revelation from the life of Christ and Christ's prophecy, you're automatically out of the realm or the paradigm of what Revelation is about. So now, that's first thing. It's the revelation or the unveiling or the apocalypse of Christ. Nobody else. Not America. Christ. Now, he also said these things were shortly come to pass. And in verse 3, he said the time is at hand. Now, verse 4, it's over explains it. John, to the 7 churches which are in Asia, grace be unto you and peace from him which is, which was, and which is to come, and from the 7 spirits which are before his throne. Verse 9. I, John, who also am your brother and companion in tribulation and in the kingdom and patience of Jesus Christ, was at the isle that is called Patmos for the word of God and for the testimony of Jesus Christ. So now, John is writing 7 churches in Asia about things that were supposed to shortly come to pass. And they were going through tribulation as he was going through tribulation. He was in the kingdom, aka the kingdom of heaven. John was already in the kingdom of heaven during this unveiling or revelation, which shows you the kingdom of heaven coming on earth was not a literal kingdom. It was a spiritual kingdom that was backed by the mindset and the understanding of Christ being the Messiah. But anyway, if you dismiss all of that, this is all about something that those 7 churches in Asia would have understood. And those 7 churches in Asia, when they heard this letter, it would have came to their mind that this was something that would shortly come to pass, so they would be able to relate to it. So, automatically out the blue, out of it, you got to leave America, Russia, Japan, North Korea, South Korea, the chip, all of that is out the window, because this is something that they were supposed to shortly see 2,000 years ago. It was written to them, to 7 churches in Asia going through persecution and tribulation for the name of Christ. Not people in America getting a chip because they have cell phones and camera phones and different type of games and etc. Not for us. But now, let's break down now. So let me give you I had to give you the background first. So this is what John wrote those 7 churches. So now let's go to Revelation chapter 13. This is what John wrote those churches, those 7 churches in Asia. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like a leopard, in his feet as the feet of a bear, in his mouth as the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him power in his seat and great authority. So now, off top, where do we see these symbolic animals out of the Tanakh? Where did he pull this information from? Once again, John the Revelator did not say anything new. This was the unveiling of who? Of Jesus Christ. So this is all going to have to deal with the life of Jesus Christ. So now, let's break the beast down. The beast he saw had a leopard, a bear, and the mouth of a lion. So once you go back to Daniel, who talked about the 4 beasts, let's go to Daniel 7. And see if we can break this great beast down that he is telling those 7 churches in Asia, which they would have known, they would have understood the symbolism behind it. He didn't say anything in vain, so they would have understood this. So let's go back to the records, which they had to pull from to understand what John the Revelator was talking about. So, Daniel 7, and let's start at verse 3. Verse 2. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my night visions by night, and behold, the 4 winds of the heaven strode upon the great sea. And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. I mean, they was different. The first was like a lion's and had eagle's wings. So we're not going to go through all of that, but we know the first was who? Babylon. So in Revelation 13, the first was like a leopard, and his feet like a bear, and his mouth of a lion. So we have a lion there, we have a lion there. Daniel 7 and 5. Another beast, a second, like unto a bear. That second beast was who? This was the Medo-Persia. So you go back into Revelation 13, verse 2, and you see feet of a bear. So you have a lion and bear. In Daniel, you got lion and bear. So let's go to Daniel 7 and 6. Daniel 7 and 6. And I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard. Who was the leopard? That would be the Grecians. So you go to Revelation 13 and 2. And the beast which I saw like unto a leopard. So now, the characteristics of that one beast that John the Revelator saw had the characteristics of the beast with an S that Daniel saw. So why would this one beast have all of those components of those other beasts? Because in Daniel 7 and 6, in Daniel 7 and 7, the last beast, which was the fourth beast, dreadful and all, strong exceedingly, and had great iron teeth, that was Rome. And Rome conquered Greece, who had conquered Medo-Persia, who had conquered Babylon. So this one beast would have all of the citizens in the governmental power and etc. inside of its community, inside of its society. So that one beast would be Rome, which had all of those other people inside of it. So the beast in Daniel 13 is also that beast. That beast in Revelation 13 is also that beast in Daniel 7, which is Rome. The beast had the horns and etc., just like this beast had the horns and etc. also. So now, what is important about Daniel? So while in Daniel 7 and 10, while Rome was ruling, I'm going to start at Daniel 7 and 9, because this all occurred during the rulership of Rome. Daniel 7 and 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like a fiery flame, and his wheel as a burning fire. Verse 10. And a fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were open. This is Judgment Day occurring during the fourth beast. Once you go into Revelation, what do you have? A Judgment Day occurring during the fourth beast, which was the Roman Empire. So let's keep going. Let's keep reading. In Daniel 7 and 13, I saw in the night's visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory in the kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that shall not be destroyed. So according to Daniel 7, during the Roman rulership, during the rulership of the fourth beast, Christ was supposed to get his kingdom, and Judgment Day was supposed to occur during the fourth beast. This is why Revelation 13, dealing with this thing occurring during the fourth beast, is about the life of Christ, because all of this was supposed to lead up to him getting his kingdom. All of this is happening in the fourth beast. And for the record, Christ said he got his kingdom. That will be the same kingdom that John the Revelator said he was in Revelation chapter 1. The same as that kingdom. So now, let's keep reading though. Let's go back to Revelation 13, since now we know that this is Rome. Let's see here. One of the heads was wounded like it had a deadly wound, and they all wondered after the beast. We know that most people says that would be Nero, or one of the governing powers in Revelation. In the priesthood that lived in the first century, etc. But I want to go to verse 4 and 5. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemy. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months. So that's 3.5 years. So if anybody don't know, the siege of Jerusalem between 66 through 70 AD was 3.5 years. Also in Revelation 11 and 2, but the court which is without the temple leave out and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. So that 40 and 2 months when Rome was sieging Jerusalem, all of this stuff was taking place. But now, this is where the brother want to get at. This is where the brother want to get at. Revelation 13 and 17. And, sorry, let's go to Revelation 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, and that image of the beast should both speak and cause that many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he and causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand and in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So this beast is Revelation. My bad. This beast in Revelation would be Rome. So now, let's find out where he got the imagery from, dealing with this mark on the forehead and in the hand, that no man might buy or sell or trade, dealing with Rome. Let's see where he got this information from. So first of all, let's pull where he got the ideology behind the mark being in the right hand or in their foreheads. Let's go to Deuteronomy 6 and 8. Deuteronomy 6 and 8. Deuteronomy 6 and 8 says, let's start with verse 7. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, which was the commandments. Once you go to verse 2, to keep the statutes, commandments, all the day of your life. So now verse 7, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them which thou saidest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up, that thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlet between thine eyes. So now, verse 9, and thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house and upon thy gates. So, in the beginning, the law, when the law was taught to the Israelites, the statutes and commandments, the Most High told Moses to put those laws and statutes, write them and place them upon their hands and between their eyes. So they had to, the law of Moses, bind it upon them in their eyes, between their head and their foreheads, and on their hands. So the mark of that old covenant, the mark of the laws of Moses, the ideology, and all of the things that dealt with keeping the laws of Moses was written between the Israelites' eyes and placed on their hands. This is the first instance we have of something, an idea, a law being put between eyes and hands. So now, this is one way. Let's go to Ezekiel 9. Let's go to Ezekiel 9. Ezekiel 9 and I will show you where the abomination actually happened once I get done with this. And I will show you exactly where the abomination happened. So now, Ezekiel 9, he says, verse... hold on, let me find it real fast where he put the mark on it. Verse 2. And behold, I can show you that, and I will in just a second. Verse 2, Ezekiel 9 and 2. And behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate, which lieth toward the north, and every man a slaughter weapon in his hand. And one man among them was clothed with linen, and a writer's inkhorn by his side. And they went in and stood between the brazen altar. So now, this is Ezekiel having a vision, right? So this is a vision that Ezekiel is having. Chapter 9 and 3. And the glory of God of Israel was gone from the cherub, whereupon he was to the threshold of the house, and he called the man clothed with linen, which had the writer's inkhorn by his side. And the Lord said unto him, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that have been done in the midst thereof. And said to the others, he said in mine hearing, Go ye after him through the city, and smite. Let not your eye spare, neither have pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark. And begin at my sanctuary. Then they begin at the ancient men which were before the house. So we have now that Ezekiel is seeing a vision where the Most High had this guy who had an inkhorn, or the little painting thing, and he placed the mark of the Most High upon all people that cried for the abomination that Israel was doing by transgressing the commandments or the law of Moses. So this is the second instance where we have a mark placed on somebody's forehead dealing with the law of Moses, and this mark represented the ideology of the people who actually adhered to the Mosaic covenant. This was not a literal mark he putting on literal head. This was the ideology which they had, that they was doing the Mosaic covenant, and they hated anybody that was not doing the Mosaic covenant. So in Revelation, you have the opposite mark. Now you have the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast, and everybody was thrown into the fire that received the mark of the beast. So this was opposite of what the Most High had done. So the ideology behind the mark of the beast, we're going to find it now. And don't forget, all of this dealt with Israel. All of this dealt with Israel. It didn't deal with anybody else. It didn't deal with people in China. It didn't deal with Russia. It didn't deal with Americans. It dealt with the nation of Israel all throughout the Old Testament, the Tanakh. So why would it change in the New Testament? But let's keep going now. Let's find out where this image came from and where all of this authority given came from. So now, let's go to Mark. Let's find the mark of the beast. As I said, the mark, well, let's find the image of the beast. Since I said the beast is Rome, let's see if we can find anything dealing with the image of the beast and Christ. So now, let's go to Mark 12 and 16. Mark 12 and 16. Let me check my battery. Okay, I gotta hurry up. Mark 12 and 16. Mark 12 and 16 says, well, I'm going to start at 14. And when they were come, they say unto him, Master, once again, this is about Christ. This is the life of Christ. Master, we know that thou art true and carest for no man. For thou regardest not the person of men, but teachest the way of God in truth. Is it lawful to give tribute to Caesar or not? So now, we have Caesar, representation of the beast, Caesar, Roman Empire. So now let's read. Shall we give or shall we not give? But he, knowing their hypocrisy, said unto them, Why tempt ye me? Bring me a penny, and that I may see it. And they brought it. And he said, listen to what he said. And he said unto them, Whose is this image and subscription? And they said unto him, Caesar. So the beast being who? Rome. The image of the beast being who? Caesar. But that might not be good enough for you. Let's go to Matthew 22 and 20. Matthew 22 and 20 says, same thing. I'm going to start at 18. But Jesus perceived their wickedness and said, why tempt ye me, ye hypocrites? Show me the tribute money. And thou brought unto him a penny. And he said unto them, whose is this image and subscription? They say unto him, Caesar's. Then said unto them, render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things which are God's. So the people who adhered to Caesar and his society and the way he did things with all his paganism and all his laws, the people that adhered to Caesar belonged to Caesar, belonged to Rome, belonged to the beast. Those people that adhered to Christ, the Torah, and also listening to the things dealing with the new covenant, they would belong to the Most High. They will belong to Christ. So we have a distinction. We have Caesar being the image of Rome. We have Christ being the image of the Most High. But let's go to the last one. Let's go to Luke 20 and 24. Luke 20 and 24. Luke 20 and 24 says, I'm going to start at 22. Is it lawful for us to give tribute unto Caesar or not? But when he perceived their craftiness, and said unto them, why tempt ye me? Show me a penny. Whose image and subscription hath it? And they answered and said, Caesar. So the image of the beast would be Caesar. The beast would be Rome. This is all of the things that Christ dealt with in his lifetime while he walked the earth. Revelation is the unveiling of Christ. So the revelation would go through the things that Christ went through while he was on the planet. It's not about America or none of that stuff. But let's end it now. And it says, this is the one right here that everybody likes right here. Let's see. That the dragon gave power unto the beast. Hey, how could anybody give power unto Rome? That's what everybody would like to say. How could anybody give power unto Rome? Well, let's go to John 19 and 15. Another thing dealing with in Christ's life, dealing with the Israelites also, who were supposed to be the children of the Most High. They were supposed to be the children of the Most High. So let's see here. John 19, and let's start 11. Let's start at 10. Then said Pilate against him, speakest thou not unto me? Knowest thou not that I have power to crucify thee and have power to release thee? So who's telling Christ? Pilate is telling Christ, I have this power over you to release you or condemn you. So Pilate had false power over the Messiah. Verse 11. Jesus answered, thou couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given from above. Therefore he that delivered me unto thee hath the greater sin. So once again, he that delivered me unto thee hath the greater sin. So who delivered Christ unto Pilate? Well, let's keep going on. Verse 12. And from thenceforth Pilate sought to release him, but the Jews, once again, the Jews cried out, saying, if thou let this man go, there are not Caesar's friends. Whosoever maketh himself a king speaketh against Caesar. Verse 13. When Pilate therefore heard that saying, he brought Jesus forth and sat down in the judgment seat, in the place that is called the pavement, but in the Hebrew Gabbatha. Verse 14. And it was the preparation of the Passover, and about the 6th hour, and he said unto the Jews, Behold your king. Verse 15. Well, brother, you didn't miss half of it, so hopefully you can catch up. Verse 15. But they cried out, Away with him! Away with him! Crucify him! Pilate said unto them, Shall I crucify your king? And listen how they responded. The chief priest answered, We have no king but Caesar. So what did they do with their power? They gave that power they had of being the children of God, children of the Most High, the peculiar people. They took that power that they had in that covenant and gave it to Caesar. So, what do we have here in Revelation? The dragons giving power to the beast. The Israelites gave their power and their majesty and all of that stuff that they had to Rome. Therefore, we have the whole breakdown and the makeup of Christ's life being displayed in Revelation. The Revelation is the vision behind Christ's life and his prophecy. So now, let's see what it says. Verse 16 and 17. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. That's why they was supposed to not love the world or the things within the world. Let's give you one more thing. Let's give you John 11 and 48. Let's give you John 11 and 48 real fast, and then, brother, I'm going to go answer your question. Let's give you John 11 and 48. Hopefully I just didn't read that. Yes, John 11 and 48. I'm going to start at 47. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees a council and said, What do we, for this man doeth many miracles? Talking about Christ. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him, and the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. So, we have the Pharisees consenting to the Roman government because they didn't want to lose their power. So they gave all of their spiritual, all of their covenantal power away to Rome. So now, in there, no man might buy, sell, or trade, say he had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So, those people, because this is all Jerusalem themed, those people in Jerusalem could not buy, sell, or trade. This is all dealing with the economical system of Rome. They could not do any of these things inside Rome unless they gave themselves over to the Roman government, until they followed Rome and considered Rome their governing power, unless they considered Caesar their king. Unless they follow Caesar like they were supposed to have been following Christ, they could not be part of the economy, and the result of that would be persecution. All of the people in the first century following Christ was being persecuted for following Christ, and it was allowed to happen because the high priest was able to let Rome know that these people are a threat to the society, to the way of life that Rome have. You got to go through history in order to find that out. But anyway, well, brother, you came in at the end of it, so now you can't just You just can't come in and start barking out, when did this happen? When did that happen? When did this happen? When did that happen? When did this happen? When did that happen? We're not going to do that. Okay, so now I broke down the mark of the beast in Revelation using the Bible only. So now, let me break down, brother. I'm going to answer your question now. What you said was, explain the abomination of desolation. If the Bible has already been fulfilled, then show us in the New Testament where they were living in the second time period still. So show where the third temple was rebuilt. First of all, there's no third temple inside the Bible. I can't show you a third temple because there never was prophesied for a third temple to be built. The last temple was the Most High. So there's no third temple being built. So I can't show you that, but I can show you where the abomination of desolation occurred. So now let's go to where the abomination of desolation occurred at. When exactly it occurred using the Bible. Matthew 24 and 15 and 16 says, when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whosoever readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Okay. Now you go to Mark 13, which is a parallel of Matthew 24, which says about the same thing. So let's go to Mark 13. Let's go to Mark 13 real fast and read the parallel. Mark 13 and 14. But when ye see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing where it ought not, let him that readeth understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Okay. So we have the abomination of desolation then. So now let's go to Luke that has the same parallel verse so he can explain to everybody what this abomination of desolation was. Luke 21 and 20. But when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. So according to Luke, the abomination of desolation would be those armies that caused the desolation. So who was those armies that caused the desolation during Luke or the Roman Empire? That would be the Roman army. That would be the Roman army. This is all about what led up to the events in 70 AD. So now, this is all first century 70 AD temple Jerusalem destruction prophecies. That's all it is. It's nothing else but them allowing, this is Christ telling the people that when this occurs, the Bible, all prophecies will be fulfilled. So the abomination of desolation occurred in the first century. But that's a bold statement to make, so let me finish reading. Verse 21. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. When did that happen? We can go back to Matthew 24 and Mark 13. Everybody that calls themselves a Hebrew Israelite know we fled into the mountains in 70 AD. What they don't tell you is we fled into the mountains following the arrival of the abomination of desolation. We fled into the mountains after the abomination of desolation was there. Not before, not when there was not abomination of desolation. We fled into the mountains when the abomination of desolation was present. So when was the abomination of desolation present? When we fled into the mountains. When did we flee into the mountains? 70 AD. Why did we flee into the mountains? Because of Roman persecution from the Roman army. It all goes to that's what it is. So now let's keep reading, because the brothers now the brother don't want to think it's fulfilled. It said Jesus doesn't approve. His people are still among the nation. Well, let's read what the Bible say. Not your opinion. Let's read what the Bible say, because you're not Jesus. You're not Jesus' word. So let's read what the Bible say. So Luke 21. Luke 21 and 21 and 22. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. Luke 21 and 22, for all my naysayers out there. For these, what he just got done talking about, for these be the days of vengeance, that all, read it in your Bible, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. Once again, for all things which are written may be fulfilled. So Christ told his disciples in the first century, once they see the abomination of desolation, and once those people who believe Christ, once they who flee, once they see Rome come past Jerusalem, they need to flee into the mountains, because that's going to be the day when all things written in the Torah and the Tanakh about the time of the end, about judgment, we just read it in Daniel 7. All of those things were supposed to come to an end, and the new heavens and the new earth was supposed to arrive at that time. This is Christ. This is not my opinion. I don't care what anybody else's opinion is. Christ said, these are the days of vengeance, that all things written. There was no New Testament written now. Only thing was written was the Torah and the Tanakh. All things written may be fulfilled. So I don't need anybody telling me how things aren't fulfilled when Christ told me they were going to be fulfilled. So that tells me that all of you Christ followers are not really Christ followers, because y'all don't even believe what he say. Because now what y'all do, you try to pick stuff out of scriptures and say, well, when was this fulfilled? And when was that fulfilled? And when was that fulfilled? And when was that fulfilled? That's not what Christ said. Christ said, believe the Father, the Most High. When Christ was baptized, as well as when he was transfigured, he said, this is my son, believe on him. So his words was, all things were to be fulfilled at that time. So if you don't believe on Christ, that's between you and Christ. But I'm telling y'all what the Bible says. So now, what people should do, they should go through the Bible now and find all of the things written that had not been fulfilled at that time, and classify that as being fulfilled. So now, once again, you can say all things are not fulfilled all you want to. I'm saying what Christ said. I'm not here for an agenda. I'm not here to make people feel good. I'm not here to make your ears feel good and you to taste the sweetness. I'm here to tell you what Christ said and what Christ taught and what the disciples knew and what the Christians knew. And they knew that all things written were going to be fulfilled during that destruction of the temple. So it is what it is. Y'all can believe what you want to believe. The brother said, where's the new heaven and the new earth? Well, brother, if you don't see the new heavens and the new earth, then you are lacking, because you're trying to once again, people try to Americanize the scripture. See, now I can take you right now. I can take you right now to Deuteronomy 33, I believe, or 32, one of them, where Israel, Old Covenant Israel, when they got their covenant, they were considered heaven and earth. I can take you to Deuteronomy 32 right now. So when Old Covenant Israel got their covenant and they were considered heaven and earth, who do you think the new heaven and earth would be? AKA the Christians, the people who followed Christ. They will be considered the new heavens and earth. But once again, hey, this is what I do. So now, and if you like me, why would I debate you later on tonight so you can tell me that you don't believe Christ? Listen, brother, if you don't believe Christ, that's on you. But for the people who believe Christ, I want to keep reading. So, and if y'all think I'm making it up, in fact, I got a lot of marks in my Bible, but let me turn it around. Let me turn it around and we can read it together. If y'all think I'm making it up. And if you don't have a Bible, sorry, it's trying to get my focus on. Here we go right here. Hopefully we all can read this. When you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. That's the abomination of desolation. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. So everybody know that's 70 AD when we fled into the mountains. But now we can hit the 144,000 in just a second. I can show you who those are actually also. For these be the days of vengeance, that all, y'all see I didn't write this Bible right, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. Once again, for these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. So now, did I say it or did Christ say it? So when I say all has been fulfilled, am I saying what Christ saying, or are you saying what Christ saying? Sorry, my signals are leaving. Oh, the 144,000. You want that real fast? You want the 144,000, right? When is the 144,000, right? Since my battery is about low, I'm gonna give you the short version of when the 144,000 actually appeared. Let's see if I can give you the short version real fast. Once again, I have already said that Revelation is about Christ's life and Christ's prophecy. So let's see if I can go through Christ's prophecy real fast and show you when 144,000 appeared at. So now we have in Revelation 6 and 12. And I beheld when he had opened, sorry y'all, I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig casts her untimely figs. So all I got to do is find where that occurred first. So when did that occur? When was the sun supposed to be darkened and the moon not give off her light, and etc.? Well, in Matthew 24, when Christ was talking about the destruction of the temple, which happened in 70 AD, once you go to verse 15, when they fled into the mountains, what happened in 70 AD, so you get to verse 29, immediately after the tribulation, and the tribulation happened when? For then shall be great tribulation, which was 70 AD. So immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give off her lights, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man of heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of power with great glory. Verse 34, verily I say unto you, who was he talking to? The disciples. This generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. So do you see him saying that his second coming was supposed to occur right there in verse 30? Yes. So he told them their generation would not pass until his second coming occurred, till the destruction of the temple happened, until they fled into the mountains. Pretty much all of Matthew 24 was supposed to happen during their generation. He was talking to who? Verse 2, verse 3. The disciples came unto him privately, saying. So he's talking to the disciples. So after his second coming and the temple being destroyed, you get to verse in Revelation, verse 17. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who is able to stand? Now, when was the great day? His second coming. When was that supposed to happen? In 70 AD. So once you go to Revelation 7 and 4, I heard the number of them that was sealed, and it was 144,000. Who was the 144,000 sealed? Well, these were the people who did not go through the wrath of Christ, did not go through the second coming. So who was the people who did not go through the wrath of Christ? Well, according to Matthew, they would be those people that what? Fled into the mountain. And my phone is dying. Sorry, y'all. I got to